Trump some information. We have a gigantic opiate problem in this country.
Joe Rogan and Trump joined forces, and Joe Rogan just posted this. Trump has signed an executive order directing the FDA to expedite the review of breakthrough psychedelic therapies.
I want to tell everybody how this happened. I sent President Trump some information. There's more than 5 million people that are addicted to opiates right now in this country. One dose of Ibogaine, more than 80% of people are free of that addiction. The text message came back, sounds great. Do you want FDA approval? Let's do it.
Trump does these things that 15 years ago would have been considered uber progressive, and yet people today still call him a right-wing extremist. Now, people confuse this with like an endorsement of the recreational use of psychedelic therapies, but that's not what this is. This is about using those psychedelics in controlled environments overseen by experts in a way that might improve people's problems with addiction. I think it's worth looking into, and I appreciate a president that's pragmatic enough to look past any stigmas that might exist around psychedelics if those things might actually help people dramatically improve their lives. And this should be something that we're celebrating on both sides.
The text message came back, sounds great. Do you want FDA approval? Let's do it.
Trump has tried to excommunicate other podcasters from the MAGA coalition. He has attacked Tucker Carlson, attacked Megyn Kelly, but he has not attacked Rogan. Instead, there they were together today. So here's some of what Rogan...
Immediately, Joe Rogan appeared at the White House. A lot of people are not happy with that. When you take a look at a tweet like this, Joe Rogan is standing behind President Trump in the Oval Office right now for the signing of the executive order after trash-talking President Trump last week. Rogan is very opportunistic, rich, successful, but very opportunistic and not exactly an ally to President Trump. It would be nice if Rogan refrained from speaking badly about President Trump on his podcast. If you go through the comment sections, you realize a lot of people are not happy with what this girl said. Yeah, because Trump is a president. Everyone should have opinion. There are certain things he would do that you don't like. You should be able to speak up. That's actually okay. Yeah, okay, everything Trump is doing, everybody should just be appreciating or speaking nice about it. I don't get it why some people believe that criticizing certain policies is a big issue. Joe Rogan, to me, he acted nicely because going to the White House after criticizing some of his policies should not be something you have to carry onto your head.
Trump some information. We have a gigantic opiate problem in this country, obviously. In 2024, more than 80,000 people have overdoses. It's a horrible number. And there's more than 5 million people that are addicted to opiates right now in this country. With one dose of Ibogaine, more than 80% of people are free of that addiction. With 2 doses, it's more than 90%. I sent him that information. The text message came back, sounds great. Do you want FDA approval? Let's do it. It was literally that quick. Legal, not because they're harmful. They're illegal because of the 1970 Controlled Substances Act that was passed by the Richard Nixon administration. They did it to target the civil rights movement and the anti-women. It's not because harm people. And for 56 years, we've lived under those terrible conditions. We're free of that now. We're free of that now. Thanks to all these people that we see next to me, and thanks to President Trump.
We've got 3 attributes that we're working with here. This is a revolutionary opportunity for us because Ibogaine does 3 things. I would explain the physiology in terms of the way in which it literally, within 48 hours, will resolve physiological substance dependence for 80% of folks who take it but one time. That goes to 97% when they do it with a booster dose. As I said, the second thing that it does is it restores an individual's sense of ownership over self. If they have lived lives of compulsion where they are driven by those things that imprison them, on the other side of the Ibogaine experience, they recognize that they have ownership of self and future, and that future will be defined by choices rather than driven by compulsion. And that is fundamental and integral to recreating a viable existence. And then I would say, but finally, and most importantly, and Aubrey, I would say this to the most religiously Bible-believing, thumping person that you could find. I would say, finally, and most importantly, many individuals who have an Ibogaine experience come away with a concrete affirmation and knowledge that they are a spiritual being made in the image of an almighty creator whose essence is pure and unconditional love for them, and that they have a unique and special purpose to achieve with our life. And as I would say those words, I would recognize that this divine emancipation medication is able to deliver a human being what I was given by my papas in childhood. Ibogaine has the unique ability to restore the brain's dopamine and serotonin production to its pre-opioid exposure levels within 36 to 48 hours, thereby fully resolving physiological opioid dependence with a single administration for 80% of individuals.
Yes. If you take a look at how Democrats are reacting to this, you can clearly see that there is nothing that Trump would do these people will appreciate. I see some saying, this pack, I like this, but Joe Rogan, I cannot listen to Joe Rogan again because he wake up at some point, criticize Trump, then he's still standing behind Trump. Oh, no. We should not listen to Joe Rogan again. I was like, this is crazy, right? There is a comment I saw here. You are calling Joe Rogan a funny person because he criticized Trump on some issues, but won't join your fully blown hatred cold. That is rich coming from someone whose entire online identity is be unknown stop unhinged ragbait against one man. Rogan is doing what normal people do. He calls out bad ideas wherever he sees them, including from Trump. You, on the other hand, demand total ideological purity. If someone isn't 100 anti-Trump at all times, they are traitors. That is not principle. That is core behavior. The real funny is the guy who turned politics into his entire personality and then accuses everyone else of being fake for not matching his level of obsessions. Beautiful.
Donald Trump just flexed his muscles this morning by inviting Joe Rogan to the White House to sign an executive order. But it really wasn't a message about the executive order, even though Rogan gets behind that. The reason he had Joe Rogan show up is because he is sending a shot across the bow to Democrats and Candace Owens, Tucker Carlson, Megyn Kelly, and Alex.
But I like him anyway. I think all of this speaks to Joe Rogan's unique power and his unique platform. He's not as clearly, obviously, always political as the other podcasters I mentioned earlier. He's more entertaining. He appeals to a broader audience. Yesterday, I was speaking at a journalism conference at Ole Miss, and the researchers there commissioned a study into who Americans trust in the media. And of all the names, of all the news influencers, Rogan's name was number one. It really speaks to his unique power, and maybe President Trump feels it's best to keep Rogan close.
We're going to end here. As of the short clips at the end, that is rewind algorithm. You can always skip.
I'm in support of that.
Minutes until the First Lady brought them back with her surprise statement last week.
How does this benefit?
I'm an actor.
Creative content.
Why are you not looking forward to the White House fight?
Well, it's kind of a gimmick.
I have 300.
The greatest card of all time. And it's just going to be a security nightmare.
That's true.
You're on the